Welcome to Heels, Handbags, and Hustle. Step in faith, carry love, pursue God's calling. This is your host, Rachel Earp, and I'm so delighted that you found my show. My podcast is dedicated to encouraging women to be more bold, confident, and secure in their work and femininity. I've had the privilege of bringing on many outstanding women who share their journeys, stories, and successes with us. I believe women should embrace their God-given gifts and abilities without the entanglements of fear, comparison, or past mistakes. As a wife, business owner, and mom of 2 boys, one with Down syndrome, I have found such joy in the community of supportive women. My prayer is that this podcast elevates each person who listens and inspires a closer walk with God. Now, let's get to it, friends. Hey friends, I'm really excited to be spending some time with you today. And super cool fun fact, this April, which is when I'm recording this episode, is the anniversary month that marks 4 years since I first started this podcast. And to celebrate, I thought it would be super fun to bring my husband back onto the show. If you haven't listened to it, we did an episode last year called Working with Your Spouse, and truly had so much fun, so much feedback on just the interaction that we had telling our story and, you know, the good, the bad, the ugly, the ins and outs of actually what that looks like. And we do work very well together. But of course, there's challenges along the way. And it's not for everybody, but we wanted to tell our story. So I thought it would be fun to do a part 2. Which is why I have brought Dale Earp back to the show. Yay!
I'm here.
So, Dale Earp, you are the only male guest that I have had on my show other than my dad. So how does it feel?
Oh, I have to tell you, I've been a fan of you for 14 years now. We're kind of coming up on our 14-year anniversary. So, we met probably 6 months prior to that. So it was pretty quick marriage, but coming up on 14 years. So I've been a huge fan of you. So I'm happy to be on the show.
Oh, well, that was a really good thing to say. You just earned an extra brownie point. So I thought we would title this episode Living with Your Spouse, because working together and living together. And as we know, when you get married and you live with someone, there's an entirely different dynamic that happens that I feel like a lot of couples are not prepared for. And super fun was I was able to generate some questions from people that have either follow us on social media, friends, business colleagues. We had such an influx of response and feedback. And I wanted to know, what do you guys want to know about us? And I actually had so many people just send in some random questions that I'm going to read off today. So it's basically going to be like a Dale and Rachel Earp question and answer session.
Uh-oh.
So I'm going to be putting you on the spot a lot.
Yeah, I haven't seen the questions, so I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah. This is, everyone listening or watching, this is completely off the cuff, live. Just, you get to eavesdrop on what Dale and Rachel Earp talk about, and just don't laugh at us too much. Okay, first question. First off, I have to just read a little line, and I'm going to ask you, where is this sentence or this phrase? Name that phrase. Love and marriage, they go together like a horse and carriage.
Oh my goodness. That is, there's two versions of it. So there's a comedy sitcom. I'm not going to really talk about that. It's something we grew up on as kids. A lot of the audience will know what it is. Al Bundy is the name of the guy. That's how it starts, but it's actually a Frank Sinatra song. So it's actually a really good song. And I actually sang it to Rachel before we actually met, right?
Yes. Well, no, we had met.
No, it was after we met. It was okay. So there was a small window of very small of when we met and then got married and then got the song. So I sang a Frank Sinatra song for her.
I still have that recording saved on my phone, and it was the cutest thing because you just voice recording and singing it to me was the best gift ever. So I thought I would leave with that. Anyways, that's not the question. The real question is this.
I thought that was something.
No, that was just something funny I wanted to do. Okay. So this is one of the questions that came in. How do you maintain a healthy balance between your individual lives and your life as a couple? So Dale Earp, what would you say to that? And then I will.
So involving business or just?
Nope, we are not talking about business today.
Oh, okay.
So this is your individual life, like your identity, what you like to do. And it could include business, of course, because business is such a big part of your life. But how do you separate that? Yeah.
A lot of it's give and take. I feel like some of the stuff that we've done together is something that it's give and take in the aspect of I'm able to do something with you that I know in my heart that you would love to do. And then vice versa. It's one of those things where I think we complement each other very well with that. And it's something that, to actually start this off with saying something that my dad had told me way back was, he taught me way before we were married, way before I was a kid. I don't even know, maybe 16 years old, 15 years old. And he said, a marriage is something that if you live your life for your spouse and you find a spouse that will live their life for you, everything will work out perfectly, under God. So, I think that's what me and you actually have done, since we've been married. Even prior to being married, we did things to actually help each other. So it wasn't something where, I want to go out with the boys and smoke a cigar and I'm going to go out and drink and I'm going to go do all this stuff. And, it's not one of those things where just because I went on vacation, you go on vacation, or just because you went on vacation, now I feel entitled to have a vacation. So there's a lot of stuff that I think I watch other people do and it doesn't coincide with the marriage and it doesn't coincide with the relationship that I have with Christ and you as my wife, which is my bride. So, being able to do that, I think we both work together and we complement each other on that. It's not perfect, but if we're each living our lives for each other, which, we became one flesh. So I think it's easier to do because we're both Christians. We've both accepted Christ and we're able to both work together and actually complement each other in that. Being able to just work together and do things. So, I don't know if you want examples or, if you have a follow-up question.
Well, what I would add to that too is, the Bible talks about when you get married, you become one flesh. And I don't think that is an overnight. You say your marriage vows and instantly you become one flesh. No. I think it does take time and it takes an intentional effort between two people to become in unity. And that comes with the decisions that you make. It comes with respecting each other in the choices that you make and in the things that you're choosing to do, like your activities or, whether you're going to go somewhere and go off and go out with your friends or whatever it is. I think unity and that one flesh aspect comes from, in the beginning, looking at it from, okay, am I honoring my spouse by what I'm about to do or what I'm about to say, even when they're not in the room? Right. And keeping that in mind and going back to that balance thing, it's an ebb and a flow. There's going to be times where, like for you, for example, you've had to go out of town quite often, whether it's work or even if it's just to have a retreat and unplug because you do such a mentally straining work all the time. So for me to look at that selfishly and think, well, that's not fair because Dale is constantly gone and I don't get to go out as often, and turn it into, like you were saying earlier, like an equal thing, right, where I'm looking at it from an entirely selfish and self-centered perspective and not from, my husband needs this rest. My husband needs to connect with other men. My husband needs to spend time with God and vice versa.
Right.
So
I would say, just for the audience, so they get a more clear picture of, the Bible says that we actually become one flesh when we get married, and we're married under Christ. So, that does happen instantaneously of us getting married and actually accepting that under Christ. We're human though. So it takes long-term, I don't know what the word would be, but it's long-term growth together for that to continually grow and stay bonded. It's the same thing as accepting Christ. There's people that accept Christ and they turn away from God a week later because they don't understand it and they never actually converted. They never actually accepted Christ. It was just words and then it went away. So it's one of those things where when somebody accepts Christ, yeah, you accepted Christ. Yeah, now you're saved. You accepted him and what he did at the cross, but now it's a continual growth with God.
Yeah, very well said. I agree with that. Is there anything else that you would want to add as far as, individual? Because, we are two different people. We are different personalities. I mean, so different. Anyone who knows Dale and Rachel knows that even though we are very much one flesh, we are very different people. So for that couple who maybe is all they feel are the differences, like I am polar opposite. We have different ways of looking at everything. We're not coming into alignment. We should just throw in the towel. What would be your words of advice for that couple who just don't feel like they're in sync?
I think you have to understand in marriage that you are both in it together. This isn't just a me game. This isn't, there's no I in team type thing. People, when they actually get married, you have to be able to actually, it's the same thing as give and get. We have, like, use an example. Some people like watching TV at night to calm down before bed and all that stuff. I personally don't like it. So if you like to watch a funny TV show or something just to lighten the mood before bed, or calm down because your nerves are shot from the day from the kids, or
why did you wrap me out like that, Dale?
All this. Well, I had to use an example. It's either that or wine.
Oh man, you just did it again. So, okay, we're done. This episode's over.
Right. So, all right. The wine thing, I think people can relate to that a little bit better. Well, no, a lot of people watch TV, but I personally don't like watching TV. I think it's a waste of time. I still will sit there with my wife and actually bond with her and spend that time together because I know she needs it. So it's the same thing with wine. I'm not going to sit there and go, I'm on keto diet. I'm this. And, literally for 5 years, put it off and not have a glass of wine with my wife and relax. It's one of those things, even if you took a Topo Chico or a sparkling wine or sparkling water, or you did something else, you could still sit there with your wife and actually talk with her and actually bond. Like I said, that relationship, when you get married, yes, you're one flesh, but you have to continue that growth together. So it becomes dangerous when you don't do that. And you're like, I'm going out with my boys. And then you have that mental attitude that I'm going out. And then the next day, I'm going and doing this and I'm going and doing this. It's okay to do stuff with other people, but it's when you go away from the actual marriage and you don't want to put the time and energy in the marriage. So you're actually outside and you're sitting there going after other things and it does nothing fruitful for your relationship.
So it's in essence, it's being sacrificial and not just thinking of yourself all the time, but also being mindful.
Yeah. I think, not to get into a whole nother subject, but I think a lot of people, especially going into the churches and stuff, a lot of people will not seek advice from the correct people. They'll seek advice from, somebody that looks cool or somebody that's doing something cool. And it has nothing to do with the route that they're trying to go. It's just like me. If I'm trying to get married or I'm trying to, when I was growing up, I'm not sitting there, going out and sleeping around and doing all this other stuff. It's being able to do something. Like in my mind and my heart, I wanted to actually get married. I wanted to have kids. I wanted to basically do what God intended man to do. And it's flourish. It's growth. It's being a man. And there's a lot of people that I hung around that were doing the opposite. They had no interest in wives. They had no interest in a wife, I should say, singular, not plural, but a wife, and then have kids and then, do that stuff where they're out partying, they're out drinking, they're out doing that. I did do some of that, but it's not something that I went after and I stayed with. It was something that I was actually getting married and seeking advice from God and stuff like that of having a good wife. And as soon as I was able to do that, then God put that in place. And here we are married and we're coming up on 14 years married and it works.
Yeah, so true. I think people talk, a buzzword is mindset, but when it comes to your marriage, how your mind and how you're looking at it, like if you're going to look for all the faults in your spouse, you're going to definitely find them. And I
Absolutely.
think not enough focus is put on what are my spouse's qualities. And that's actually leading up to the next question that somebody had submitted was, what is something you admire in your spouse? And I want to kind of lead into this question by first saying kind of what I was talking about earlier is I think it's very important to look for and not just look at the qualities that your spouse has, but tell them, hey, like, I appreciate this about you, or you look really
Right.
nice today, or thank
Absolutely.
you for making me feel safe in this situation. And not being afraid to say it and not expecting necessarily anything in return, but just saying it just to say it and to
Right.
acknowledge that. But tell me,
Yeah.
Dale, so what is something you admire about me?
Oh my goodness. There's actually a ton.
Oh,
One of the, I'm not going to use the best words. I'm not good with words. I'm from Philly. I'm illiterate to an extent. I'm not good. I say a lot. I say water. I don't say water. I have different lingo. I talk differently. So I'm just Dale is Dale. Dale speaks. This is me. Ladylike. You are very ladylike. I look at you and I see what Christ would actually want a woman to be. And when I can say that you're a godly woman, you're not perfect. You try, you strive, and I can actually see the fruits of that. So to me, that is huge to be able to have a wife that actually takes care of herself, tries to wear dresses, tries to be ladylike. You take care of yourself. You take care of your skin. You try to take care of your children. You take care of the house. You take care of the stuff that a man like me needs, that support. I need that. It was the Bible called a helpmeet. I need somebody to actually help me and compliment me with the stuff that I can't do. There's nothing better than a woman that actually takes care of her children and nurtures the family and actually takes care of the family. I think we've not to get into another subject again, but the human race has actually walked away from a lot of that stuff that was originally established in the beginning of time, that the man is the man and the woman is the woman. And, it gets into a dangerous subject that I'm not even allowed to talk about certain things, but I do. And, when you walk away from that stuff, it's extremely dangerous, and the families are being split up. The divorce rates are extremely high. And there's just too much going on. There's different cases, different things happen. So it's not, this isn't, something against everybody, but, being able to just admire you as a woman. You're not sitting there trying to compete with me. You're not sitting there trying to compete with mankind and say, I can do everything that a man does. And I'm sorry if I know that most of your audience is women, but it's one of those things where this is what I admire about you. And honestly, a lot of your audience, I think they respect me because they understand where I stand with that subject. Yeah. But just being able to have a caretaker, like somebody that would actually take care of me. I can have all the friends in the world. I can have all the the family in the world. I had a mom that took care of me for how many years. It's one of those things where there's a difference between friends and family and stuff doing that versus a spouse, a wife, just like me. You come home from work, or you come home from with the kids. When you're around me, that you're in a safe zone. No matter what, I will die for you. I will protect you. I will do everything that a man's supposed to do. So that is something that, once again, we complement each other with all that. So it's, it goes into the, husband and wife, and then it goes into the parents and the children. You're taking care of the children. You'll protect them. We all have good traits about us, and we all complement each other with everything that we do. It's needed. It's the family. It's the way the family was supposed to be built.
Very true.
Yeah, long story short, I like looking at you. You're beautiful. You're gorgeous. I smile you see me every morning that I wake up. I smile. So I don't care about bad breath or anything, people.
Oh my god!
When you're in love, you're in love.
That's so funny. Mm-hmm.
But you're a very peaceful person. You don't try to fight people. You're definitely the opposite with me. I like to open my mouth and not to use language, but piss people off. I don't know. I do that. So we're just totally opposite with all that stuff. So once again, we complement each other. So when I was asking God, I went into prayer and I was asking God specifically for, me to have a woman that, isn't prior girls that I had dated or been engaged to, and just, have any kind of issues. I wanted a good life. I wanted to actually progress with my life and stuff and not be torn down and have any type of issues. So I tried to go into it the right way. Like I said, we're all human, but there's definitely a lot of stuff that I like about you.
Oh, well, that was very sweet. Thank you. It's funny. There's a scripture that comes to mind that says it's better to dwell in the corner of a rooftop than with a contentious woman. So
I 100%, actually 1,000% agree with God.
I think I just opened a can of worms, but and yeah, I would add on to that too, pivoting a little bit towards you. Like you said, when you start to look for qualities, like I could name so many qualities that you have, but my favorite, I think, out of all of them, and it's so funny that you led with this, is I do love how strong you are, like not just physically, but the strength that in the way that you lead our family, and that you are able to make decisions quickly and a crisis and of an emotional situation that maybe I would react very emotionally to. But also I love the fact that you always honor and try to honor God in everything that you do. And because of that, it has brought us into so many great opportunities, not just with our family, but in our businesses and the way God has blessed us financially, because you use wisdom and you don't care what people think of you or what people say about you. Your focus has always been on what does God think of me?
Right.
And even if that meant that I didn't agree with you or whatever, I did always know in my heart that if you made a decision that you wanted the best for all of us, this was not about you. You've always been a very selfless person, and you put other people's needs before your own, to your own detriment, I think many times, because you just do it almost to a fault. If that could be a fault, I mean, truly you do. Sometimes I get annoyed because I'm like, Dale, like you're always thinking of everyone else. What about you? But I have to say, I really respect that. And I don't think I'm the only one. I think a lot of people respect that. It's just sad that not a lot of people will tell you that. And I'm not afraid to say it, but without getting all teary-eyed over this, I had another question that came in that is I'm really excited about.
Uh-oh.
And it's, what is the most unexpected thing that you have learned about your partner, your spouse? What is something that I have done that you were not expecting when you married me?
Oh my goodness. I guess can I be funny right now?
Is this going to embarrass me? Did I just do something that I'm going to regret?
Oh my goodness. No, honestly, the first thing that came to mind, because like I said, I haven't seen these questions. I don't know what you're going to ask me. So it kind of just put, it's kind of like zip my brain. The cabinets you would leave open.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
Oh my goodness. I've never seen somebody leave cabinets open. I mean, occasionally I would, I always had buddies over at a condo in Yardley, and they would grab something out of the cabinet and then they would leave the door cracked or something like that. And I would go, dude, close the door, because I have to have everything closed. But when I got married to you, it was every single drawer, like drawers were open.
Okay, Dale, we get the picture.
Cabinets were open. You asked the question. I mean,
okay.
You want to turn that? You want to blend that question into another question, maybe, so we could stop talking about that.
Moving right along. No, I get to answer now. Revenge. No, I'm just kidding. So when I married you, I thought, okay, let me backtrack. I had no idea all of the stuff that you did as a child and in your teens, like burning down, setting fields on fire.
Yeah, that's criminal activity. We can't talk about that on a live podcast. No. Yeah, watch what you say. We're on a recorded call right now. There was life before I got saved and I accepted Christ. That's all I have to say. Growing up in Philly, growing up in the suburbs and stuff like that, definitely was easy to get into stuff, especially being in school, not liking school. I liked school in the aspect of, the being able to see people like the kids and stuff like that. But no, yeah, definitely got into a lot of stuff that you didn't get into. We had totally different lives.
Stories never end. They just don't end. Like every time I think I know everything about your past, I'm like, oh, you never told me that.
Yeah, I'll vouch for that. It's pretty crazy.
I mean, you could write your book will be out soon. So there you go. Okay, moving along. How do you handle disagreements? And what is the most ridiculous argument that you've ever had?
Oh my goodness. I mean, the first part of that, I mean, a lot of guys will sit there and they're on camera in front of their wife and they'll make a comment, oh, she's always right and blah, 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 and make a joke. That's not, I wouldn't even say that. It's not really funny. Oh man. The best thing that I've come up with as far as like arguments and stuff like that is just having grace for the other person and just allowing the situation to diffuse. I've read, obviously a lot of people know that I've studied psychology. I know communication skills. I know how to talk to people and stuff like that. And I know people's minds and why they do what they do. I'm really good with microfacial expressions and reading people. So all that stuff does help. I'm still human and I still make mistakes. And when you say something, I do, there's times where I get super pissed and it gets to the point where I either have to walk away and then I always have to be right to an extent, right? Especially if I know I'm right. Like there's a factual, like you did something wrong or you don't know how to do something. And I know for a fact it's wrong. So how do I fix it? So I got to the point. I mean, we've been married for nearly 14 years and I'm not going to lie. We've gotten into fights that have kind of gotten worse and worse and kind of webbed out, with disagreements. And I finally got to the conclusion that if you walk away from it and you actually genuinely in your heart ask God to let let the whole thing diffuse, let the whole thing calm down, he will do it because he doesn't want your marriage to have any issues. But you have to be willing to do that. And it took me, quite a few years of being married to actually get to that point where if you've noticed in the past 2 or 3 years, our arguments and stuff, they're diffused pretty quickly, because God actually stops it from going any further. You were talking about wisdom, understanding, knowledge, and all that stuff. I mean, the Bible specifically talks about that stuff. Ask him, pray about it. Ask God for that wisdom, not to open your mouth because women do it too. We open our mouths and say stupid stuff that we shouldn't say. And it gets us into a way worse situation than before, in the initial, part of the argument. So I don't know if that answered the question.
Yeah. I mean, there's a scripture that says to be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. Yeah. And right. I feel like if that's ever a good creed for a marriage, right. It's, stopping yourself and not instantly reacting and saying, okay, why is my spouse upset at me? Or why are they freaking out? Did they have a bad day? Are they stressed out? Are they not feeling well? Did something tragic happen in their life recently? So maybe like they lost a loved one. Or, they're going through a hard time with just coping with things that they're both going through. And then have, like you mentioned, giving grace and not making it all about they're just so cranky all the time and I just can't take it anymore. Well, why? Just looking deeper at the situation.
Yeah, I was going to say there's definitely a lot of people, and I'm going to vouch for myself on this, that are selfish with a lot of that. And if you're not selfish, you'll start understanding that people, even if you're married, people have a lot of stuff going on in their heads and, the anxiety in the world right now, the stress in the world and stuff like that. So to be able to step back and actually look at that, and you don't even have to evaluate it or anything, just kind of step back and actually let it go. Just let everything go. And once it diffuses even a little bit, God's repairing in the background. He does stuff that we don't even understand, but you have to be open to that. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that it definitely helps to walk away from a situation and just come back. I know a lot of the times I'll forcefully get myself, whether I'm super angry or not, I'll go up and it's human touch. I'll go up and I'll touch your shoulders and tell you how much I love you, even if I'm pissed. And because it's still a fact that I love you. It's still a fact that I'm still going to be there. I'm still going to protect you. I'm still going to be there for you and the kids. It's just it's one of those things where everybody gets angry. Everybody gets pissed off. Everybody gets, their feelings hurt and stuff like that. But if you can just step back and understand that everybody in the world right now is under stress. Everybody in the world right now feels that they have to be at the top. They have to be an entrepreneur. They have to be all this stuff instead of just what they are. It causes an insane amount of stress in people's lives, subconsciously even. And you just have to be okay with, stepping back and allowing that and giving grace and finding something that actually works. We've done, all the counseling that we've done with couples and stuff that are married. They say we have a perfect marriage. We don't have a perfect marriage. We do, but we don't. I mean, we still argue. We still get into confrontations and stuff like that. We still don't agree on certain things. But at the end of the day, we look at the Bible and we look at what's right and wrong, and we have to actually blend it together in our relationship because we are one flesh. But yeah, my biggest thing is just forcefully going and showing love to you. I mean, you know how I am. So it works. I mean, the audience is listening. It works. So if you have I know this is mostly women on this, that listen to this, but if you have husbands, let them listen to this. It's a fun thing to watch because you're seeing two people just being real and speaking, and it might actually help your relationship. It's kind of like, it might be corny, but like the Fireproof movie and stuff like that. People, you have to be open to it. If you're going through tough times, if you're going through divorce, or you're going to just sit with your wife, sit with your girlfriend and watch the movie Fireproof with Kirk Cameron. And it illustrates a purity. It illustrates what does happen in the world and what could be actually healed by the hand of God. So just stuff like that. I mean, there's always, I could go on for 4 hours about that. So I'm going to shut up.
I think the funniest thing we've ever fought about, like that was ridiculous, was on a road trip.
Which one's this?
Okay, so this was back before the navigations were built into vehicles and we used our phone. And I didn't know how to use MapQuest. And you were trying to go somewhere and I didn't do it quick enough for you. And you got really mad and we fought for hours and we didn't talk to each other on a really long road trip for hours because
okay, I don't remember this.
I'm a little slow.
But it must be true if you said it. And second, if anybody ever drives in a vehicle with Rachel, do not expect her to be your navigator or your wingman or whatever you want to call it, sitting in the front, hoping to God that you get where you need to go, because it's probably not going to happen.
I am totally that passenger princess. Yes.
That's funny. You actually, you know what you were meant? You were meant to be chauffeured around in the back of a limo.
Oh, I love that. Yes, that's exactly right.
Hashtag goals.
Why didn't you know that then? Why did it take you so long to figure that out?
Oh my goodness. It's funny because we're to the point, we have our two boys, and our 12-year-old is literally a mini me. And he literally is at that age now where he acts like he's 20 years old. He acts actually more mature than half the 20-year-olds out there. But yeah. Dale actually is my wingman now. So when he's in the car, he's got his little, iPhone 14 Pro Max, and he's sitting there. Oh, Dad, you turn left here, you turn right here. And, Rachel's just sitting there like, Instagram.
Whatever. All right, we're going to move right along here.
That's funny.
Anyways.
Did we get where we were actually trying to go? Do you remember?
Yeah, we did, but it was just a very long 10-hour drive because we weren't speaking to each other.
10 hours? Oh, dear Lord.
We were I think we were on our way back from Virginia or something like that when we used to drive down, and we went to Williamsburg, and this was a long time ago, but it was definitely a ridiculous argument because
funny.
It just got so out of hand and it was so dumb. Of course, we made up for it later, but it was like...
Ooh.
We'll go into those details.
I remember.
Oh my gosh, no, you don't. Anyways.
Next question.
So let's move on to social media because you brought up Instagram. So someone submitted a question, social media, how does it affect a marriage? And I think that is a really, really important thing to talk about because, social media saturates most of our lives, especially if you have a business. For us, we both work and our, companies thrive off of social media and it's not just our companies, but us individually. I have my podcast and then you do your coaching and, your, all of the stuff that encompasses your brand. So you're bombarded with a lot of temptations, on social media that is intentionally there that can be a big trap for married couples. And I really want to kind of talk about this and dig a little deeper. And what is your perspective on how often should you be on social media? And then two, if you come across things that are a temptation or a distraction, what do you think is a good, healthy way to minimize it?
Oh my gosh, there's so many things I could talk about with this because we've actually gone through it, and it's actually been something, especially owning a business, like you said, it cuts your time. It takes your life away. So you have to definitely control your time management skills with social media. The first thing I would start off with is Rachel and I share like a password program together. So all of her Instagram, Facebook, all her passwords, I have access to, and vice versa. She has access to all of my stuff, no matter what it is, whether it's American Airlines login information, whether it's, you can name 5 of them off the top of your head, but
are we
social
actually
media
able to share that link for people?
Yep. You can put it in your, what are they called? Show notes?
Yeah, I might actually do that because I didn't even think about that. That is definitely makes it so easy so you can easily log in.
Yeah, a husband and wife, especially if you I'll be on vacation and Rachel can get into any of my literally any of my stuff or check my there's been times where she's been stranded with the airline and she doesn't have internet and stuff like that, and I'm sitting there trying to handle it for her. So to be able to do that. So basically, what I was getting at is that minimizes any type of risk that you have of somebody. We're not on Snapchat, we're not on TikTok, we're not on a lot of that stuff. But I see a lot of friends that have been married for years and they have problems where they're looking at stuff they shouldn't. They're going down that rabbit hole. Men and women, doesn't matter. It's there. We don't go on certain platforms because of that, just because of what it is. We also set guidelines with, our timing and stuff with it. But her having the login for my stuff, Rachel and I both help each other with our social media. So we also have staff that handles a lot of our social media. So the messages that come in and stuff, it's all through our business. So on the business aspect, we do control, what we're following, what we're doing. I was going to go somewhere with the password stuff, but setting guidelines on how much you're actually on it. So when you have a good marriage, you have to actually be okay with criticism and me saying, hey, you're on Instagram right now and we're supposed to be actually talking about our kids or their schooling or something else. And it comes down to a respect. And if you don't respect me for saying that stuff, trying to lead the family, there's a problem. So it's something that needs to be actually dealt with then and there. The problem is most people, and I say most people will let stuff fester and it just goes and goes and goes. And the only thing that happens in a marriage where you are not communicating and being upfront and having the oomph to actually say stuff is it compounds. And the problem is it compounds fast and it ruins relationships. And social media, I think, is a huge divider in relationships because they're sitting there competing with people. It's like, hey, Rachel just took a picture and you're all dolled up and pretty and you get 150 likes on it. And I'm sitting there and I worked hard with something that I did and I did all this stuff and there was a lot of work behind it. And I take a picture and I get 50 likes. And I've actually seen people get pissed at that stuff and it's ridiculous. And there has to be something where you can stop. And what me and you try to do is we try to do stuff together as a family as much as possible. So it's not It's not vanity. It's not me sitting there taking selfies every day, all day long, and trying to get an audience of like girls liking me or liking the post, or I need 150 likes and stuff like that. You just can't care about that stuff.
I think too, the dangers with social media is you have a lot of people will look at other couples and they might go on this elaborate date night and there are, like, oh, look at us, we're so close. And a lot of that is so superficial. And unfortunately, if you really know what their relationship is like off camera, it's not always very healthy. So you can't go off of what you see on social media because people just show you what they want you to see. So that's a big thing. And then also transparency. Like you said, I think that's what you were trying to go with password thing is being okay if, hey, I have nothing to hide, right. Not being all like, oh, why are you on my phone? Or why are you looking at my, why are you on, just being, because truly, if you have nothing to hide, then there shouldn't be a defense thing, where if you come up behind me or you need to go on my account or vice versa, it doesn't matter because there's nothing to hide, and being honest and open about that, I think is very important, where you don't feel threatened. Like, well, my husband's always hiding and he won't let me, see who he talks to and who he's messaging and all this stuff. Then that is going to create a problem.
So, I'm going to throw this in here because you do have a large audience of women that are watching this. And I would just take a second to just mention men and women, we all sin. And we all have issues. And when you're married, if I have an issue, I'm expecting you as my wife, my spouse, to actually help me through those times. Sometimes it's very hard, especially for a man, to ask for help and ask for guidance. And it's extremely hard for that to happen. So I just want to vocalize and throw it out there to your audience that have grace with your husband. So if they're going through something or they're hiding something, it doesn't mean you divorce them. It doesn't mean you leave them. It doesn't mean you give up on them. I would say, I've had a lot of friends that have struggled with a lot of different things. And it's one of those things where the wife just automatically snaps, freaks out, and then it's over. And then they're getting a divorce. And I'm like, that's not how this works. That's not, you don't just give up that easily. So my pointer to the woman out there would be to have grace with them and don't just attack them and say, why do you always hide your phone? Why do you have a different password? Don't attack them. It's not going to work out. They're probably most likely not hiding anything. But if you ask or you talk or you have them watch this broadcast, they'll be able to understand why we're doing what we're doing. Because it's a lot less likely for me to look at stuff I shouldn't be looking at outside of my marriage. If you have access to my phone and I leave it on the counter all the time, you can literally grab my phone. We set up facial recognition on my phone, Rachel's phone, little Dale's phone, and Zeke's phone. And obviously the kids can't get on our devices, but it goes both ways. So Rachel, if she has her phone laying there, I technically could grab her phone and go on it and look at all her messages, all her Facebook, her social media, her search history, all that stuff. I don't have to do that though, because there's a mutual respect there, but it's there if I need to. So if there's like red flags or there's something I feel uncomfortable with, or, typically I have, God will let me understand something or know something's wrong, and I would have a talk with you or we would speak together. Same thing with the kids. The kids are not going to go on a device and control that device and be the controller of that device. That is a tool that they can use to educate themselves differently than we did when we were kids, but we still have control of it. So I would just say for the women to have conversations with their spouse, but have it a mutual conversation and talk about, sharing that for safety reasons for the family. Share it so you can both be on the same page because you both love each other. That's why you're married. There is no man that's married that is in a good relationship that is trying to hide something and it work out in the long run. It's just not going to work. So if a woman has pictures and she's trying to hide them, there's a problem in the relationship, and you're better off nipping it in the butt now versus once again letting it compound. Because once it compounds and it gets past that point, there's no I don't care what kind of therapist you think you're going to. No therapist is going to be able to fix that marriage. God can, but you have to be, once again, open to that. So if your heart's not open to making your marriage work with the spouse that you married under God, that you're supposed to be married to, it's not going to work.
And I think too is it's another very important piece to just kind of complement what you're saying is don't assume the worst either when it comes to your
Correct,
spouse.
yeah.
If you see something that maybe is alarming or doesn't look good, and we're speaking from experience because we've gone through stuff like that. Don't instantly react and it's like you said, attack or assume like, oh, he's cheating on me or, oh, this, until you have the facts. And maybe there is, and maybe it is something, and then you deal with it at that time. But like you said, instead of if that, God forbid, should be your situation and you're going through a very trying and difficult time, and maybe you have lost and your trust has been broken with your spouse, because it does happen, there still can be reconciliation, and reconciliation
Absolutely.
is in fact something that is very godly. And I'm not saying that's easy. It is not easy with any type of reconciliation. And that can be not just in marriage, but reconciliation with your children, your parents, your siblings. But reconciliation takes two people being, like you said, willing and open to, if you made the mistake, apologize, admit it,
Right.
and make every effort that you can to not break that trust again. And then if you're on the other end of it and your trust has been broken and you're hurt and you just don't know how you can forgive that person, if they've come to you and they want to make things right and they're apologizing and they're making an effort, you can't just throw that aside.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're repenting from it. It's you're supposed to forgive them. What is it? 100 times 100. I mean, it's endless. You have to be okay, especially if you're married to somebody that you've loved. I mean, it drives me bonkers to see people.
Bonkers.
Yeah. And your podcast is different than when I record myself talking. So I'm trying to not bleep out words, but I'm trying to tone it down a little bit.
Show, dude.
Oh my goodness. It drives me bonkers though. It drives me crazy, drives me loco. Is that better for you? Loco?
Loco.
So, it drives me crazy when people will actually, I don't even know. I'm not even going to go down that route because it's a whole other conversation. Yeah.
I think, we kind of wrap that up. And long story short, don't jump to conclusions. Don't assume the worst. And communication is extremely vital. Communicate. Like you said, don't just take it and hide it within yourself or go to someone else that doesn't know the situation before you would go to your spouse. And now there's one thing if you have someone that maybe as a spiritual mentor or someone that you can confide in that say, hey, I need to talk to my spouse about this. What would be the best way to bring it up? Or that's different. If if you have someone that you can confide in and won't give you bad advice, do that. Find that person.
Can I just add to that? The people that I watch take advice, not just business, not relationships, God, literally every subject out there, how to handle their kids. They're seeking advice from people that they don't know. And even people that they think they don't know them. And they're seeking advice from people that might have that glimmer and shine that they think is godly or they think that is okay. And it's not even close to it. It's like when I'm mentoring all of our brokers and stuff like that over the years, when I'm doing my coaching and everything, I'm sitting there and I'm explaining to them, you have to be around people and you have to seek advice and wisdom and stuff from people, seek experience from people that are people that have actually conquered and did what you're trying to accomplish. If you can't do that, they're not for you. So, as far as relationships, I see people literally every week where they might come to us and they go, oh yeah. And they put all their baggage on us. And that's typically what it is. They're just dumping all their crap on us and then trying to bring us down mentally and spiritually and whatever you want to say. And then it drains you. It drains your soul. And the problem with it is they leave a good relationship with people that know how to take care of their kids or know how to build a business and companies. And they go to some idiot down the street that has no freaking clue what they're doing. And I see it all the time. I'm going to say it's a high percentage of 98% or more of people I watch seek counsel or get counsel from some person like, my friend's dad or, somebody that I actually would go, wow, that's the guy you want to talk to. And they leave them and they do the total opposite. And they go down the street and they talk to their cool friend Becky or their cool friend Janet. And I watch them go and they do that. And I'm like, why? Why on earth would you go to somebody like, okay, a big thing that we see, and you'll vouch for this, is people that are divorced or wanting to divorce. They're having a bad marriage. They're not clicking. It's 10 years later. And they're like, oh, I never loved him or our love has grown up. No. That doesn't happen. Like I said, there's certain cases where abuse and different things might happen. That's a small part of the stuff that happens in the world compared to people just going, it's not worth it anymore. I want to go bang somebody else or I want to go do something else. And it's not right. And the problem is they will go down the street to somebody that is already divorced once, twice, 3 times. I'm seeing them 4 and 5 times. They will go, hey girl, you want to go grab a drink? And they're going to a bar with a girl that's divorced. And they're hanging around other girls that might be married and might be divorced. And they're going like this and clicking together. And it just doesn't work. It will never, ever work out your marriage. So, I see it a lot. And I see men that are passive. And that's a whole nother story that I could get, once again, speak hours on, is men being passive. There's a time and a place for everything. So I'm not gonna say that you need to be aggressive and everything all the time. But as a man, testosterone driven, the whole hormonal thing, I think everybody on your audience understands estrogen, testosterone, and how they work, how the woman has less testosterone. And so it's flip flop though. So now you have the girls doing the CrossFit and going home and beating their husbands. It drives me insane. And I watch this stuff and I'm like, dude,
oh, that's so funny.
You need to step up and actually take care of your family and actually be the man in your family and actually protect them. Women don't typically, there's a few women out there that they want to be the breadwinner. They want to do this. That's not typical though. That's not normal. So you have a lot of guys that they'll just go home and they'll just like, they're weak and they need to be stronger. And they need to be more vocal. They need to be more protective. They need to actually give a crap about their relationship and give a crap about their kids instead of their own bellies and going, oh, well, I'm sleeping with a girl, or I can go do this, or I have this, or I can do. No, that's not how this works. So once again, we don't have a perfect relationship, but I see God's guidance in everything. I'm not a perfect person. I literally sin every day. I'm a horrible person with certain things, but I seek God's wisdom and I seek God as much as I possibly can on everything. And I think people will see our fruits. We're not fake people. I tell you exactly what I feel and exactly what I each day. I mean, Rachel has to listen to me every single day. We work together. We sleep together. We live together. We eat together. We literally do everything together. So yeah, I just, men need to step up to the plate. Dads need to step up to the plate. Once again, be a man. Be around your son, your daughter. Be around your kids. Protect your kids. Be a man. If literally we could, I don't mean to go off preaching and stuff, but if we could literally just take and teach men how to be men again, not this flashy crap where, oh, I'm buff, I'm ripped, I'm shredded, and I'm this. Dude, get into shape. That's a good thing to do. Not knocking it. But don't sit there and put the whole world at, oh, this is what it means to be a man. It's being the biggest thing that you could do is literally be a man for your family. Be the leader for your family. And if we could actually teach men how to be men again, make America great again, make men great again, make men again. It literally blows my mind. They're weak. The women are stronger than the men mentally and like when they're speaking and stuff. That's not right. It just doesn't work. I'm leading my family. And, I use the example, we've joked about this. Oh my goodness, you're going to laugh so hard. So, because we literally say this and we joke about it. If somebody broke into our house today, can you imagine if you literally went and tried to save my life? Like, I ran. like the dude's coming in with a gun and I'm literally like, I'm running. I'm gone. And you're sitting there like, oh my goodness, what do I do? Please don't hurt me.
I love the voice you use when you imitate me.
Yeah, it's just a soft.
Sound like Daffy Duck.
No, it's just a very soft, gentle voice. It's hard for me to do because I'm a man.
Okay.
So this is funny. So, we make that joke, but it's like I ask my 12-year-old, if somebody breaks in the front door, what would happen? And he's like, I'd kill him. And I'm like, whoa, no, back up, dude. You're 12 years old. He's like, dude, I will grab that chair and I will knock him over and I'll do anything possible so you guys can get out. And I'm sitting there like, my 12-year-old has more testosterone than a grown man today. It's scary. So this wasn't meant to be a comedy show, but seriously, if men were men, it would be a totally different vertical right now with the world. Like the world wouldn't be the world it is right now. So
I agree with that.
That was my tangent. I apologize to the audience.
You got so passionate. Look at you, Dale. You're so passionate about that. It's really true. I'm glad you addressed a lot of those things. And oh my gosh, I'm like having all these scriptures come into my mind. I know I keep spouting them off, but to your point, kind of backtracking a little bit where you talked about people seeking counsel from unqualified people. There's a verse that says, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, or stands in the way of sinners, or sits in the seat of the scornful. And if you look at ungodly counsel, if you look at people that are just outright sinning, and then if you look at scorning, people who are scornful, and we know if for those of you who may not understand what scornful means, when someone scorns you, they mock you. They defame your character. They will take, a situation like there's a lot of people that scorn marriage or that scorn women being women or men being men or, all of those things that you were talking about. God says you're blessed if you don't do those things. And he does it not because he's trying to put all of these commandments and throw them and shove them down our throat. But he does it because when we don't do those things, our life is beautiful. Our life is blessed. Our life becomes thriving. Our marriages become thriving. Our relationship with our children become thriving. You cannot go to ungodly counsel and expect a godly outcome or even a good outcome. It's not going to happen. And it's very discouraging. And I know, you got very passionate about that, but it is discouraging when you see people, they don't want good counsel. And, that's very unfortunate, but people want to hear what they want to hear. And I think that's why that people do go to, like, if you have your mind made up that I want to leave my spouse, or, maybe your mind is made up that I'm right about this and I don't care if I never talk to my child again or my parent again or whatever. If your mind is made up on that, then you're not going to hear anything from anyone other than that, because that is set in your heart that you've already made that decision. So you're not open to good counsel. You're not going to receive any type of good words or advice or truth. And that's where it really boils down to, is having truth. Take away the emotions, take away the world and what the world says or anything. What is true? And that goes back to everything has to be compared to the word of God. It doesn't matter whether it's a pastor is saying it, or your best friend, or your mom, or your dad, or whoever it is. You have to strip it all away. And it comes down to, what does God's word say about it, and comparing everything to that. Seek, if there's any counsel you could ever seek, go to his word, because it is alive and it will tell you and show you things that you may not, and it may not be easy to hear, and it may not be what you want to hear, but if you can learn to get over it and apply it, you'll have a better life.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. So, well, I want to ask one more. We have more questions, but I want to ask one more, just to kind of boil the episode down a little bit. And this, there's a word, and I really loved this question because, I want to talk about abundance. And I think I don't like to label, but there's abundant mindset people and there's deficit mindset people. And right. I think that perspective can be applied to marriage, but also, moving into business or moving into life choices and work and everything. What do you think it means to have an abundance mindset? And if people are in this woe is me all the time, like if something happened in their marriage or they're not happy and maybe they've lost that spark and they feel like, well, I'm never going to have that with my spouse again, or I'm never going to have a good relationship with my family or whoever that is. How do you get out of deficit mode and start expecting good things? And, no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, one of the first things that comes to mind is what we actually in the initial part of the broadcast was live my life for you and you live your life for me. And if I'm actually able to, even if I'm in a deficit and I'm struggling, I'm not doing stuff, I'm not, that we're departing from our marriage and stuff like that, I would say just come back to that one key thing where you're living your life for them. Because what's the worst that happens? You do stuff for them out of kindness and you in your heart that you want to try to fix things and repair them and everything, typically it will be fruitful. No man goes into a marriage that, well, I can't say that. Actually, there's probably a lot of people that go into marriage for the wrong reasons and stuff. But if you're going into marriage and you want to have a wife and you want to have somebody that you can actually, become one flesh, if you have somebody that you want to have kids with, if you have somebody that you want to actually grow with, you can't look at anything deficit. I don't care. There's a lot of churches and a lot of different Christians and stuff that will preach poverty mindset. And I'm totally opposite. Totally. God provides whatever we need. So you look at it, what does God want me to have? Does he want me to live in sorrow for the 70 years that I'm here, 80 years that I'm here? Or does he want me to live abundantly? And the Bible talks about being, living in abundance. God will provide everything that we need. It doesn't mean that he's going to pop and then you're driving a Maserati or a Lamborghini. It's one of those things where, as you progress in life, God is going to bless you. And I mean, you can see from Rachel and I where we are at that God does abundant things. Like, he just does big things. But what I was going to say is you don't, as a man, especially go into a marriage saying, oh, I want to marry Rachel. I want to marry this girl. I want her to drive a piece of crap car. I can't wait till just, we can get married and never get her a new car. So she's never safe. She drives down the road and it crashes because the tire fell off. It's like literally people are going to get pissed at this, but it's stupidity. Mm-hmm. It's selfishness. You should be driving the new car because you're driving my kids. You're driving, the love of my life. Like you are literally driving places. So give you the safest thing possible. So what can I do as a man to live that abundant life? God will bless my work. God will bless everything that I'm doing. Doesn't mean I stay in an office sitting there twiddling on my computer, looking at Twitter and what everybody's doing on Instagram. It's take that time away. Take the app off your phone and freaking, especially if it's not your job, get off of social media. You don't need a TikTok. You don't need an Instagram. You don't need a Facebook. Go live life to the fullest. Yeah. Live the life that most people can't actually live. And this is me, getting back to preaching again. You have to actually do stuff. It's literally, there's a bunch of stuff out there. We live in America. There's opportunities galore. I'm right here saying on a recorded call that if you want to reach out to us at 800-385-1755, I will show you how to make hundreds of thousands of dollars. I won't charge you a dime. I will bring you on and I will train you. I will mentor you and I will show you how to do it. And I'll never get phone calls from this. I might, but we in the insurance industry or the auto industry, we used to call them strokers because they'll stroke you. They'll just sit there and waste your time for an hour. They won't buy.
Yeah.
It's the people have a poverty mindset. And once again, if you go into a marriage and you're sitting there like, yeah, I'm okay. I don't want to work harder because, I like my job and, I love my job. You're sitting there making X amount of dollars and it's not paying the bills or it's making you. So your wife has to go out and work and then your wife is out working and then you get her pregnant and then she has kids or you have kids, both have kids. And then now all of a sudden she's working, you're working just to provide for the family. And the kids are in a daycare with God who knows who. They're in, they're being babysat by these dumb young kids that are charging $20+ an hour. They're not even CPR certified. They don't know how to make mac and cheese in the microwave. So let's reverse back, mankind. And look at the times where the woman would cook. Oh, it's such a bad thing. Woman shouldn't have to cook. Okay. So it works for thousands of years. And then we decide as a human race in the past 50 years that women should be men. Women should be empowered to the point of no return. Women should be so empowered that they want to leave their husband and children to nothing. To a facade, to something that's not there, and to live a realistic life. I mean, I'm sitting there, I'm ripping apart men and everything, but it's the same thing with women. It's you go into a marriage with a spouse. Why are you going into a marriage? Why are you getting married? Right? Because you love them, right? You want to spend the rest of your life with them. Okay, so you go into marriage and you're the girl, and you don't want to have sex with them. Oh, the dirty word. Oh my goodness, it's a dirty word. It's you don't want to have sex with him. You don't want to please him. You don't want to take care of him because men have testosterone. We typically want it more than women. Okay. It's the wife's duty to have that romance, like have the romantic. It's the wife's duty to compliment the man. So this isn't all on women. I might have maybe said that a little bit off, but it takes two to tango. And if you're not willing to do that, don't get into marriage, because I can guarantee a real man wants sex. And I can guarantee a woman in a relationship, when you marry her, I guarantee she wants nice things. And if you can't provide for your wife or future wife, don't get married. It's so simple. I will literally, if you call me, I will flat out tell you, don't get married. Let's have a conversation for 5 minutes and I can tell you whether you should get married or not. I won't charge you a dime. I don't know if I need a license for that. So disclaimer, I don't have a license for that. I'm not giving medical advice, whatever you want. But people literally could get on a phone call with somebody like me, and I will flat out tell you, if you're not literally going to do this to live your life for them, and you're not trying to actually do something good for your wife, and you're not going to take care of your kids, you're going to sit there as a freaking grown man, have a wife and kids, beautiful, beautiful children, and not buy a new car that they are safe in. Go figure your life out. This is me not being mean. You can see I'm very passionate about this stuff. The guidance, there's no more guidance from real men. There's no more guidance from people that are sane. They're literally people sitting there trying to coach people that haven't even made $100,000 a year. They haven't made $1 million a year. They're coaching people like business coaches. I'm a business coach. Okay, so what company do you own? Well, I own a coaching business. What? What is a coaching business? Oh. I'm sorry. You went on, and I don't know if I can use names like a Tony Robbins or a Grant Cardone. You went on and you watched some cassettes. You watched some DVDs. You went to a class for 6 hours. You went to a class for friggin' 150 hours. Means literally zilch, nothing, nada. You don't hire those people. They have no freaking clue what they're doing. Well, I have a bachelor's degree. I barely made it through high school. I'm actually loving this podcast. I'm glad you made me do it because It lets me actually come out and actually speak the
Just
way I
let you
want to
steam
speak.
out, Dale.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
this is great.
I just went on another 10-minute tangent about, anyway. So
I'm
men,
going to lose
we'll-
half of my listeners after this episode.
don't take it out on Rachel. Don't follow me. Don't unlike my page. Please, unlike my page. Don't follow me on Instagram. Don't follow me on Facebook. Don't, unsubscribe to my newsletter.
You are so funny.
You can still talk to Rachel. But yeah, no,
funny.
there's simple fixes to all this stuff in life. But, well, like I said, we started the call with one of the questions, and I said something that my dad had taught me way back when I was a kid is live your life for your spouse and hope to God and pray and make sure that woman really loves you and she has the fruits of the Spirit and actually wants to take care of you and actually do stuff for you.
Great way to sum this all up, right?
It's simple. I mean, okay, so you have the people that aren't married and they're listening to this call. Don't get married. You have to literally make sure that you are going into this and you're not just doing it for a sexual reason. You're not doing it just because, oh, he's hot or, oh, she's hot. This is what I want to do. No. All that stuff will fade away and pass away. The real stuff is being able to have a phone like this conversation here. This is something that Rachel and there is no fakeness to this. We're very open. We talk to everybody. People see us. People stay at our house. We have visitors all the time because everybody wants to come to Florida because it's Florida. And when we travel, people travel with us. They stay with us in hotels and resorts and on the planes and all that stuff. They see us. We're as real can be. It's one of those things where you should be taking advice from people like us. So find people like us. Just like I said with my dad giving me that advice. Find somebody that has done it. My parents have been married, Rach? They're coming up 50 years? I don't know the exact date. I'm sorry. But they're coming up on 50 years. My parents are still married. They've gotten in fights, thrown pans at each other and all kinds of stuff. But they always work things out. And they always ended up, end result, seeking God at the end of the day. And look at your parents. How many years have they been married?
Yeah, I think almost 40 years.
Okay. So let's get into a whole nother subject.
Yeah, actually, it'll be 40 years, I think, next year. I always have to remember
because they were like 10 years apart. Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so I know some of the people on here, I know there's a lot of guys that follow me. They're going to watch this podcast because they're going to be like, oh my goodness, Dale's on there with his wife again. If I'm going to literally, I swear, I can read people's minds. There's going to be people that literally watch this and go, oh, well, must be nice because your parents are both married still. Oh, Lord, help me. Because these are the people that are the problem in the first place. No, stop using excuses. You literally have guidance right now from two people that literally love each other and actually want to do stuff together. We work together. We play together. We go on vacations together. We do everything together. Oh, you shouldn't be around your spouse all the time. That's not healthy. Oh my goodness. 13, going on 14 years and we're beautifully married and, we're still together. We have beautiful kids. We have beautiful home, beautiful cars, beautiful everything. Everything's good. My relationship with God, above all, Rach and I, we have a relationship with Christ. And Rach doesn't have that relationship through me to get to God.
Yeah.
It's my relationship is with God. Rachel's relationship is with God. And we are one flesh under God.
Very good. So good.
We don't have to actually go to a pastor or preacher. I don't have to sit in church on a Sunday morning and actually praise God and everything. I could do it right here because he's listening.
Mm-hmm. So true. So good. So good.
These are the people though that those people, the naysayers, the people that are like, well, your parents have been married. I came from a background where my dad left when I was 5 years old and blah, blah. That was your dad, dude. That wasn't you. Fix your problem. Fix your life. Fix your parents left, your dad left, your mom left. I have plenty of friends that actually care and give two craps of the advice that Rachel and I would actually tell them. And they're married. They're still married. They have kids. They work stuff out. That is the people that you want to be around. You want to surround yourself with people. If you're in a marriage, and I'm going to say this, like I have single buddies. We were just actually talking about this. I have single buddies. I know for a fact that one of them is going to be watching this video. So he knows that I'm talking about him. They're single. They're out dating all different, varieties of women. And
varieties. You make it sound like produce, dude.
Oh my goodness. I have another friend that's going to laugh at just that joke alone.
Oh
Produce?
my gosh,
what?
you just said that.
Okay. Oh my goodness. I don't even know where I'm going with this at this point. Anyway, so do I surround myself with single men? No.
Yeah.
I'm a married man. So the more single guys that I hang out with, the more apt I am to actually be around single women, and not just one or two, multiple single women that have single girlfriends. So no, Rachel, you respect me for that. I won't hang out with a lot of guys that are single. Yeah. But I do have single friends that I literally had friends before I married you, and I'm still really close with them. They're like brothers to me. And, I go visit, I hang out with them and stuff like that. But there's a lot of people, what I was getting at is there's a lot of guys that I know that are married men, and they're out at the bar hanging out with guys that are single that are having other women walk up to them and stuff. That's not good. It's not healthy.
It's a compromising situation. Yeah.
Correct. Perfect verbiage. Compromising situations. You have women that literally, like we know that they literally, that's compromise. Compromise. They literally will go to a nightclub. They'll go to a bar. They'll go to a restaurant and accept drinks from men. So if a guy comes up to you, Rachel, a married woman, and says, "Oh, can I buy you a drink?" What are you saying to them? Teach these women what to say, what to do.
Yeah. No, thank you. I'm good.
Yeah. There's literally no reason. And the reason I'm saying it that way is if I went to a bar, there's very few women. I know I'm sexy looking, but there's not women that want to buy guys drinks. It's the other way around. So get with the program, women, and understand if you're a married woman and you go to a bar, you're mostly going to have one of my single friends try to hit on you.
Oh my
God. Do it.
Do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Oh my goodness. This is so fun. Well, I hate to cut this off. We're running into an hour and 16 minutes right now.
Dude, we can easily make it 2 hours and it would be great.
Oh, we'll have to do a sequel to this for sure. But I think, okay, so to sum everything up, I do want to say we're not hating on people who are divorced or going through a divorce whatsoever.
It's all out of love.
And our purpose with this episode is to encourage people that are in a marriage right now, and maybe, they're just frustrated, they're trying to figure out, or they're seeking wrong advice. We just want to give you our own perspective because of what we've gone through and what we've observed in other people's marriages, because there is nothing more beautiful and more, a compliment to your life than a healthy marriage. Not just a marriage that you're stuck in, but I mean a happy marriage where you can't wait to get home and see your spouse. If you go away and you're on a trip, you can't wait to get home and touch them and talk to them on the phone, and that you trust them. Like, there's just so many reasons why it's a good thing. Marriage is a good thing. God didn't create it to be the ball and chain. God didn't create it to be a drudgery, or I'm stuck with this person till my kids are raised. And, that's not what God wants for your life. And if, maybe you're in a situation where your spouse they don't want anything to do with that, and you made the choice to depart, then I just want to encourage you, if you're looking for someone else, then carefully consider the qualities that would make a good, godly marriage. Don't make the same mistake again.
Right.
There's just so many things that, good principles and stuff that we hope you'll get from this episode. And we're very passionate about it, because we hate to see so many people give up, and maybe that didn't have to be that way. So,
this is going to be on YouTube. So could you guys do us a favor and comment and let us know if you want us to continually do these, maybe like monthly or quarterly or something like that.
Yeah.
And also put in the comments maybe stuff that you actually want us to talk about. Because, you guys actually sent Rachel a lot of these questions, and it opened up the door for us to actually have these passionate conversations. So anything that you guys want us to talk about, feel free to put in the comments below. Yeah.
Love that. Absolutely love that. I'm sure this has been super entertaining for many of you also. But thank you, Dale, I know if anyone could have seen what we looked like trying to get this podcast recorded and how many times we had it on the calendar and always stuff would come up. I know you sacrificed your very valuable time, and I don't say that because we're on camera or lightly, because I do know the tremendous amount of work and stress that you have. But thank you for coming on here to give a manly perspective to my questions and just some really great advice. It might sound off the wall. It's not politically correct right now, but I tell you what, it's truth. So thank you for speaking truth so boldly. And I do encourage people to follow Dale Earp. It's at I am Dale Earp. And I'll link that in the show notes as well. And until next time, I'll see you as soon as we get off camera.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Well, friends, I just want to thank you for listening today. And if this show has meant something to you, please leave a review or rating on whatever platform you're listening to. Also, make sure you follow the show. This helps me continue bringing episodes like this where women can share their stories and link arms together. I hope you feel inspired and refreshed. Now get out there and hustle, girlfriends.